Lok Sabha's Ethics Committee. Okay. Why is it in news? Because recently, Lok Sabha's Ethics Committee has initiated investigation over cash for query allegations on a member of parliament accused of accepting bribes to ask questions in the parliament. Okay. That is why we are discussing this topic. Okay. So before going into the ethics committee directly, we will first look into the parliamentary committees. What are parliamentary committees and what are the types of parliamentary committees? What are its significance? Okay. So what is a parliamentary committee? As you know that it is a committee within the parliament. So obviously members will be MPs, right? So parliamentary committee is a panel of MPs that is appointed or elected by the House or nominated by the Speaker or Chairman. So this is about the composition. The members are either appointed or elected by the House or nominated by the Speaker or Chairman. Okay, so there can be nominated members as well as elected members as well. Nominated by speakers and elected by the House members. Under whose command or whose direction the parliamentary committee works? Speaker. Why? Because he is the presiding officer of the House. Okay. Committee works under the direction of the Speaker or Chairman, and it presents its report to the House or to the Speaker or Chairman. Okay. Parliamentary committee have their origin in British Parliament. Okay. In the syllabus of GS2, in Polity, we have a topic of comparison of different parliaments, right? Different parliaments of different countries. So our constitution is mostly related to that of the Britain, right? So one of the relation is similar to that of the parliamentary committees. In British Parliament as well, we can trace the parliamentary committees. Clear? Okay. When we consider the Constitution, Article 105 and 1118 are the articles from which we draw the parliamentary committees. Okay. Article 105 traces with the privileges of the MPs. Okay. Oftenly, the privileges of the MPs are usually misused. So that is one of the reasons why parliamentary committees, certain parliamentary committees like privilege committees, etc., usually checks this one. Okay. So privileges are involved or are in Article 105. So the privileges are usually given in the Constitution itself to the MPs. So that is the one of the reason why one of the committees are parliamentary privilege committees. Okay. Next one is Article 118. It gives parliamentary authority to make rules to regulate its procedure and conduct of business. Okay. So under Article 118, the Parliament itself has the ability to make its own rules and conduct its own business. That is the reason why Speaker or the members of the Parliament are constituting the parliamentary committees. Okay. So we were talking about parliamentary committees. Parliamentary committees are, who are the members? MPs itself. As we know that it is within the Parliament or House. Okay. So the members could be either nominated or elected by the House or nominated by the Speaker. Okay. The directions are given by the Speaker and the report of the committee is presented either to the House or to the Speaker. Okay. So we can trace its history from British Parliament. Okay. Then regarding the constitutional provisions, we said that Article 105 gives the privileges to the MPs. Okay. And Article 1118 is responsible for the independent conduct of business or make rules and conduct business of the Parliament. Next one is regarding the types. There are two types of parliamentary committees. Okay. One is standing committee and the other one is ad hoc committee. As the name indicates, standing committee means one which is standing. That is one which is permanent. Okay. Standing committees are permanent committees. They are constituted every year or periodically. And they works on the continuous basis. That is the most importance. Standing committees means standing committees are permanent committees. And they are constituted every year means either their composition changes. Then MPs changes, right? So MPs changes, but this committee works throughout on a continuous basis. There are 6 categories of standing committees. One is financial committee. The next one is departmental standing committees. This is constituted by every department. Okay, first is financial committee. Next one is departmental standing committee. Next one is committee to inquire. Next one is committees to scrutinize and control. Okay. Next one is committees relating to day-to-day business of the house. Next one, housekeeping committee or service committees. These are committees. Why they are standing? Because it affects the day-to-day affairs of the house. That is why they are standing committees or permanent committees. We can see that this committee to inquire, scrutinize and control. Scrutinize and control means it usually analyzes the decisions taken in the parliament. Okay, it calls for scrutinizing and controlling. Next one is day-to-day affair or day-to-day business of the house and housekeeping committees or service committees. There are 6 standing committees. So standing committees are permanent committees. They are work on a day-to-day basis or a continuous basis. Okay. Next one is ad hoc. As the name indicates that ad hoc means when in need. That is, they are temporary. Okay. They are temporary and cease to exist on completion of the task assigned to them. Okay. Unlike standing committees, ad hoc committees are temporary committees and they cease to exist when the function given to them is completed. They are further subdivided into inquiry committees and advisory committees. If we come across most of the parliamentary advisory committees, it mostly is of a ad hoc nature. That is temporary nature. Sorry. Okay, the principal ad hoc committees are the select and joint committees on bills. We know that in the parliament, bills are usually introduced, right? So even when bills need to be scrutinized or need to be analyzed, select and joint committees are constituted for that bill. That is why they are temporary committees. Clear? So we talked about 2 types of parliamentary committees. One is standing committee. Standing committees are permanent committees. They work on a continuous basis. There are 6 categories of standing committees, which include inquiry committee, day-to-day business committees, then service committees, finance committees, and scrutinize and control committees. Okay. The next one is ad hoc committee. Ad hoc committee means they are constituted for a temporary basis for a particular function, to perform a particular function. After their work is over, they will be dismantled. Okay. Okay. So they are further classified into inquiry committees and advisory committees. Now, what is the significance of the committees? Parliamentary committees in general. Okay. The first and the foremost is provide legislative expertise. Okay. We know that we are electing someone as a representative of ourselves. Okay. That is MP. But he is a generalist, meaning he is not expert in particular arena, but he has the trust of people, right? That is why he is getting elected. So in some cases or in some areas, there needs an expert to the expert advice to the MPs. Okay. In that cases, parliamentary committees can have a better hand. Okay. So it provides legislative expertise to the MPs. Parliamentary committees are meant to help MPs seek expertise and give them time to think about the issues in details. Why? Because the members we elect are generalists. They are not experts. So they need if they need expert advice in any of the maybe like a new bill they are taking, or they want to introduce some new changes in their constituencies, etc. If they need any other advice, they can have an expert advice from these parliamentary committees. Okay. Next one is they act as a mini parliament. How? Because we know that the members of the committees are the MPs itself, right? Similar to that one which is present in the House. Okay. So this one acts as a mini parliament in which similar way debates are happening. Similar way the arguments are taking place for better advice. Okay. So as they have MPs representing different parties are elected into them through a system of single transferable vote in roughly the same proportion as their strength in parliament. Okay. Okay. So one is the significance, one is regarding the expert advice in legislative procedures or legislatures. Then next one, it acts as a mini parliament. Okay. As I said before, the parliamentary committees are usually constituted for scrutinizing for analyzing a bill, right? So it will act as an instrument for detailed scrutiny. When the bills are referred to these committees, they are examined closely and inputs are sought from various external stakeholders. That indirectly means expert advices are taken, right? So including the public scrutinizing. In certain bills, we have heard like this bill is kept for public opinion, right? So public scrutiny, even from public or from other experts, we are getting information or expert advice. So instrument for detailed scrutiny. When bills are referred to these committees, they are examined closely and inputs are sought from various external stakeholders, including the public. Similarly, it provides a check on the government. How? See, even when we need a detailed scrutiny means detailed analysis of the bill, right? So the bills are introduced by the government as well, and the procedures which are and the matters which are even directed to the parliamentary committees are analyzed even by the public. It is not a mandatory procedure, but it is a conventional procedure which is happening, right? So it acts as a check on the government. Clear? Although committee recommendations are not binding on the government, their reports create a public record of the consultations that took place and put pressure on the government to reconsider the stand on debatable provisions. So it creates or it incurs a pressure on the government to take what is more into the positive side, or to rethink their decision in a debatable manner. Clear? Okay. So we discussed about the significance of the parliamentary committees in general. First significance is that it provides legislative expertise to the MPs. Okay. Second one is it acts as a mini parliament since the members are from different parties, and since they are the members of the house, they act as similar to that what happens in the parliament. So it acts as a mini parliament. The third important significance is it acts as an instrument for detailed scrutiny or analyzing. Okay. The fourth one, continuing that, detailed scrutiny means it will act as a check on the government part. Okay. Now, regarding, we started with ethics committee, and before that, we just discussed about the parliamentary committees. Now we are going back to the ethics committee. Okay. The members of ethics committee are appointed by the speaker for a period of 1 year. Okay. Formation. This is about regarding the evolution of the how ethics committee was constituted. Lok Sabha ethics committee formation. The Lok Sabha ethics committee examines complaints of unethical conduct by members of the Lok Sabha. The committee was established in 2000 by the late speaker G.M.C. Balayogi as a ad hoc committee. Okay. But later it became a permanent part of the House in 2015. The committee was established in Rajya Sabha in 1997. So the members are appointed by the Speaker. We know from the Parliamentary Committee itself. What we discussed from the Parliamentary Committee. It is appointed for a period of 1 year. Okay. Then Lok Sabha Ethics Committee was constituted in the year 2000 by then Speaker GMC Balayogi as an ad hoc committee. Ad hoc committee means temporary committee. Okay. Then later in 2015, it became a permanent part of the parliament. Okay, this was regarding the Lok Sabha. Much before the Lok Sabha, its introduction in Lok Sabha, in the Rajya Sabha, this committee was present. In 1997 itself, in Rajya Sabha, this committee was present. Clear? Okay. Now regarding the functions of Ethics Committee. As the name indicates itself, it analyzes the unethical, examines the unethical conduct by members of Lok Sabha. Okay, and it makes recommendations regarding the changes which need to be introduced. Okay, it also formulates a code of conduct for the members. Then it suggests amendments or additions to the code of conduct. These are some of the major functions of Ethics Committee. Ethics Committee, as the name indicates, it will examine the unethical practices which are happening in the House. Okay, then it will, second thing is make recommendations or changes what is needed. Okay, then it will also recommend or formulate code of conduct, and in time to time, if any change is needed, they will recommend the amendments to this code of conduct as well. Clear? Okay. Now, if we give a procedure or complaint to the Ethics Committee, how it will be, how is the procedure for solving it? First, any person can complain against a member through another Lok Sabha MP, along with evidence of the alleged misconduct and an affidavit stating that the complaint is not false, frivolous, or vexatious. That is, it should not be something what is cooked. Like it should be a real complaint. Okay. So initially, any person could give a complaint through any MP of the Lok Sabha, okay, against any person in the Lok Sabha. Then it should there should be an affidavit should be filed saying that it's not a false allegation. Then, if as I said before, any person through the MP could register the complaint, or else the MP can itself register a complaint. In that case, the affidavit is not needed. Okay. The Speaker can refer to the committee any complaint against an MP. The committee does not entertain complaints based only on media reports or matters that are sub judice. Okay? Based on, if it is based on media reports or not that trusted sources, unless it is from an authenticated sources, the committee won't take the complaint. The committee makes a prima facie inquiry. Prima facie inquiry means in the first glance. Okay, initial inquiry is done before deciding to examine a complaint. It makes its recommendations after evaluating the complaint. First, an initial inquiry is done. Then later, the complaint is evaluated detailing. Then the committee presents its report to the Speaker, who asks the House if the report should be taken for consideration. There is also provision for a half-hour discussion on the report. This is the working how, if we give a complaint to the Ethical Committee, the complaint is taken. Okay. So if we say in a nutshell, first we can say that either any person can file a complaint through a MP. Okay. If a person files a complaint through an MP, an affidavit is required saying that it's not a false allegation. Okay. Or it's not a cooked up one. Next one is, if an MP itself, he himself files a complaint, then this affidavit is not required. Okay. Now, then the complaint is given to the Speaker. Later, Speaker refers it to the Ethics Committee. Okay. Now, based on media reports or other untrustable sources, the committee will not take the complaint. Okay, even if only if it is an evidence or complaint from an authenticated sources, then only the complaint will be registered or taken up by the committee. Okay, once the committee takes the report, initial inquiry is done by the committee. Then the complaint is examined in detail. Okay, and a report is created and the report is submitted to the speaker. Then speaker will ask the members whether this report should be considered or not. Okay, and there is, if it is considered, there will be a half-an-hour discussion on the report. This is how the ethics committee works. Clear? Now, what are the concerns with ethical committee? First one is ambiguity in defining unethical conduct. We just said that if there is any unethical practice, the ethical committee is involved and they examine the complaint, right? But what is this unethical conduct is not defined. That is one of the major concerns. Ambiguity in defining unethical conduct. The term unethical conduct has not been defined anywhere. It is left entirely to the committee to examine a particular act of conduct and decide whether it is unethical or not. So, when something is not defined means it will create an autonomy to the entity, right? Here, the ethical committee can decide whether the complaint is unethical or not, as the unethical term is not defined. What it is meant by unethical is not defined. So, there creates an ambiguity. Okay. Next one is case duration determination. Okay. Now, duration is taken by the committee depending upon the complexity. But the things should be sorted during this time or within this time is not mentioned. Okay, it only depends on the committee. So the time frame is when time frame is not given means it can have a longer span, right? So it can have a delay. So case duration determination. Duration taken by a committee is contingent upon the complexity of the case. Now, restriction of the referral. Okay. So it is regarding the members of the parliament and it is given when the complaint is given to forwarded to the ethical committee. If they find anything wrong with the complaint or if the complaint is valid, then also they can't refer further to further investigation agencies. Understood? Means there is a restricted referral to the ethics committee. Meaning they can max report it to the speaker and to the members itself, not to any other investigating agency, even if they find anything wrong with the matter. Restriction on referral. The committee lacks the authority to refer cases to investigating agencies such as CBI or police. Next one is absence of executive authority. The committee lacks executive powers, unable to directly penalize a member. It can, however, propose the suspension of a member for a specific period. Okay. Executive power means power to do something. It doesn't have a power for that. It can only recommend to what should be done. Okay. So if it finds wrong in the from the complaint or anything bad, they detects after analyzing, if they have found anything unethical, they can at most do is propose the suspension of the member for a specified period. They have no right to penalize the member. Okay. Now, House decision making. Recommendations made by the committee are presented before the House, which holds the power to accept or reject the suggestions and decide on the appropriate punishment. Okay. When we discussed about parliamentary committees, in general also, we discussed that the recommendations are non-binding, right? Similar case here itself, after the recommendations or after the scrutinizing, when the report is submitted to the House can either accept or reject the report. and decide whether appropriate punishment should be given or not. So the ethics committee doesn't have that power. Okay. So these were some of the concerns regarding the ethics committee. First one was ambiguity of unethical conduct. The word unethical is not defined, so there lies an ambiguity. Second one is duration. Okay. Case duration means the duration is not given, so it may take a longer time depending on the complexity, and it is autonomously to the dependent on the ethics committee. Okay. The third one is restriction to referral. Restriction to referral means the ethical committee cannot directly refer to investigating agencies like CBI or police if there is any wrong with the person or with the investigation. Okay, then when they find if there is any wrong in the matter. Okay, the fourth one is absence of executive authority. They do not have any power to penalize or punish. Okay, this is in consequent with the decision making. They do not have the independent decision making. The decision making is done by the House. The recommendations of the ethical committee may be accepted or rejected depending on the House decisions. Okay. At most, what they can do is they can recommend for suspension of a member for a particular period of time. Clear? Okay. Now, what could be the way forward? First one is declaration of members' interest. Rajya Sabha members are required to disclose personal, pecuniary on conflicting interests to promote transparency and accountability. Okay, what are their interests? Like something, the first thing is the unethical conduct, or what is unethical is not defined. Okay, so one of the counter or what we can do is the members should first declare what their interests are. Okay, initially by prima facie, by declaring their interest, the unethical term could be reduced. Okay. So, declaration of members' interest. Rajya Sabha members are required to disclose their personal, pecuniary or conflicting interest to promote transparency and accountability. Next one is Ministerial Code of Ethics. This was a recommendation by second ARC, Second Administrative Reforms Commission. Okay, suggests that a supplementary code of ethics for ministers to uphold constitutional and ethical standards alongside the existing code of conduct. There is a code of conduct, but there need to be a supplementary code of conduct for ministers as well. Okay, that is a recommendation by second ARC, Ministerial Code of Conduct. Next one is establishment of oversight units. Offices of Prime Minister and Chief Minister should create units to oversee adherence to ethical and conduct codes managing public complaints. Okay, higher authorities, higher offices like PMO, Prime Minister's Office and Chief Minister's Office should create units to specifically to identify whether the ethical and moral conducts are fulfilled. Okay, managing public complaints while managing the public complaints. Now, regarding the leadership responsibility, Prime Minister and Chief Ministers are responsible for ensuring minister compliance with the Code of Ethics and Conduct. Okay, they are the leaders and they should ensure that the code of conduct and ethical code of conduct both are in compliance with the minister's behavior. Okay. Now, annual report of submission is the another way forward. Yearly report detailing adherence to these codes, including violations and corresponding actions taken, should be presented to the legislature. Okay, what will it initiate? It will initiate a checks and balance. Clear? Okay. Some of the way forwards are, first one is declaration of interest by the members of the House. Okay. Second one is by the second ARC commission report. It says that of the ministerial code of ethical code. Okay. Next one is there should be separate units constituted by the PMO, Prime Minister and the Chief Minister for analyzing whether the ethical code of conduct and a model code of conduct is fulfilled by the ministers when in case of public complaints. Okay. Fourth one is leadership responsibility. Prime Minister and the Chief Minister are responsible for ensuring that the ministers are compliant with the code of conduct and ethics. Okay, then it also calls for annual report submission, wherein yearly the reports are submitted regarding the violation and corresponding actions if taken. Okay, this will ensure that there is a check and balances in the behavior of the ministers and even the members of the parliament. Okay. Okay, next one is, another thing is the guidelines for ministers and civil servant relations. The code of ethics is recommended to encompass principles governing the minister-civil servant relationships. This is another way forward which is preferred. That is, the ethical code of conduct should be maintained between the ministers and the civil servants as well. Okay. Next one is public disclosure. Code of ethics, code of conduct, and the annual report should be made accessible to the public. This will also ensure checks and balance. Public scrutiny is ensured. Clear? Okay. So we discussed about the ethical committee, right? Now the next one is, as I said, Article 105 deals with the parliamentary privileges. So there lies a privilege committee as well to analyze the complaints or analyze the problems regarding the privileges of the MPs and MPs and MLAs as well. In the Legislative Assembly also, the privilege committee is present. The privileges are there for the MLAs. So there will lie a contradiction between the ethics committee and the ethics committee and the privilege committee. So there will be an overlap with privileges committee. What is the overlapping is what we are discussing now. The work of ethics committee and privilege committee often overlap. An allegation of corruption against an MP can be sent either to the either body. Okay, but usually more serious accusations go to the privileges committee. Okay. The mandate of privilege committee is to safeguard the freedom, authority, and dignity of the parliament. So usually corruption is a case which we interrelate to the ethical aspect as well, right? So, but usually that is why there is a contradiction or overlapping in between the two committees. In the privileges, it can come under the purview of the privileges committees as well as the ethics committees. So in most of the cases, when there is a corruption from MP side, it is mostly referred to the privileges committee. Why? Because the mandate of the privilege committee is to safeguard freedom, authority, and dignity of the parliament. Now, these privileges are enjoyed by individual members as well as the House as a whole. Individual and collective privileges are present to the members of the parliament. An MP can be examined for breach of privilege. A non-MP too can be accused for breach of privilege for actions that attack the authority and dignity of the House. That means even if he is a common member, but his decisions is affecting the dignity of the House, the parliament breach of privileges could be incurred in him as well. Okay, the privileges are for the members of the parliament, and if any breach of privilege is noticed from the outside member as well, then also it could be considered as a breach of privilege. Why? Because it is affecting the dignity of the parliament. Clear? Okay. Ethics committee can take up only cases of misconduct that involves MP. Okay. So it means that there are certain privileges which are provided to the MPs. So one of the most important one is regarding the freedom and freedom of the MPs. Okay. So in most of the cases, there will be an overlapping between the ethics committee and privileges committee. So most of the cases, even if, only when the misconduct is present, the matter is referred to the ethics committee. All other cases, mostly it is considered as a breach of privilege. So it is referred to the privileges committee. Clear? Okay. So we talked about was about the parliamentary committees in general, which is the article which is responsible, which states about the parliamentary privileges. Article 105. Which article gives autonomous or independent power to rules and businesses, conduct rules and businesses of the parliament? 118. Okay. Now, parliamentary committees are of two types. What are they? Standing committee and ad hoc committee. How many standing committees are there? 6 committees are present. Okay. Now, ad hoc committee means they are temporary committees and are constituted for the specialized purpose. Okay. Ethics committee is a standing committee or ad hoc committee? Standing committee. Introduced as a standing committee in 2000 and as an ad hoc committee in 2000, and later it became permanent from 2015. Okay. Then what are the major importance or significance of parliamentary committees? Significance of parliamentary committees. It provides legislative expertise to the MPs. Okay. Then it acts as a mini parliament. Then provides checks and balances. Okay. Then scrutinizing the matters. So it provides a referral or an detailed analysis to the public as well. Okay.